Hey everyone, it's GosuDad and welcome back to Season 5 of the Blizzard Online Ladder. This is Game 17 in my run up the 1v1 ladder. Once again we find ourselves in a TvT on the 4-player map Antiga Shipyard. Myself in the red and my opponent Andrew in the blue. Andrew is ranked first in his Bronze League division. Myself, I think I'm around the 30s. So he is actually literally a slightly favored opponent. And if I get the processing done, you'll see that screen briefly. But this ended up being a fairly epic TvT game, and because of its epicness in Bronze League, we were speeding up the clock to 4 times faster speed to get this game moving along. It ended up being a very long game, but I thought it would be interesting to take a look at this replay, see exactly what happened. I was actually surprised at the outcome of the game in the end, and I just kind of wanted to see why it turned out the way it did. Andrew going for a barracks down on the low ground of his natural expansion, which is an interesting move, and also building a bunker down here. So I guess the idea is that he's probably going to go for some type of early expand. He's got his orbital up and running already, and back on my base I have that up as well, going for a 2 barracks early pressure, going for the BYOB build your own banshee build. As well, checking out my opponent, he is early expanding to his natural expansion, and that's why he's putting these defensive structures up here. So the idea is that he's just going to put his defensive wall down here on the low ground, well I guess on the high ground of his natural low ground compared to his main. Now going for several barracks all at once and a factory. Myself, I've already moved up to the starport and moving the starport onto this tech lab, and going to be pushing out banshees and going for a second starport, so he'll be able to get a nice scan, see double starport coming from myself, and should be seeing an engineering bay already built with missile turrets going down. That is why Andrew is ranked higher than I am. Pumping out Marines. Looking at that army supply tab, we can see that my army supply is still much higher than his, and he only has a slight worker advantage. Now that is expected since he spent the early money to put down this command center, but should be expecting to see a large ramp up on his side of economy. Myself starting to mass up a fairly good number of Marines, and whoa, 5 banshees should be good for some early aggression from myself. Starting to move this barracks over here, trying to get down a tech lab to pump out marauders, and a very naked factory putting out Hellions. Now he does see all this with the scans. Now he does have 2 bases here, 2 orbital commands, so he should be able to scan what is going on very well. Now we're gonna bump down this time to see what's going on in more like real time. So I had a couple of medevacs here, and my Marines have 1 armor upgrade. So here come in the banshees. I'm gonna try to take out these missile turrets, but these missile turrets are gonna cause a lot of trouble for my units here. And watching his units, where are they going? Looks like nothing's coming up back up into the base. Here come the Marines, and my units looks like I moved a little further south to try to get some kind of drop going on. Now drops are a little micro intensive, so these Marines are going to cause a lot of trouble coming in for my units, and I've got some misclicking here, not unloading that medevac. Almost surprised that that went the way it did. And ooh, it looks like all the banshees were killed in that attack. All of these Marines working very well. Stim being placed down by my opponent. He did have an attack upgrade, and it looks like this drop is going to be cleaned up. Marines kind of making their way into the base, not doing very much damage here. Going to be taking down that missile turret, and that missile turret almost able to take out this medevac. Looks like these Marines are starting to cause damage, but he's going to have some reinforcements coming in pretty quickly here. Now don't forget that he does have quite a few production structures, and that medevac being destroyed. Looking at the units killed tab, we can see that he killed 29 units compared to my 19. I did kill looks like 1 worker, although I think that may have been earlier in the game. So missile turrets for the win from Andrew. I'm not sure. I highly doubt that he was been watching my cast and deciding, hey, missile turrets on Antiga Shipyard. Now we'll just keep this on faster as I just take a quick look at the layout of the map on Antiga Shipyard. So Antiga Shipyard is a 4-player map with symmetry around the clock. There's probably a better term for that, but the gist being that as you move counterclockwise or clockwise around the map, all 4 of the positions are equal in layout. So that meaning that, for example, out of my base moving counterclockwise, you enter the natural, and counterclockwise from there, you move down to this entrance into the base. The same thing goes for my opponent Andrew. Now, one difference on his side, because of the particular map placement, that actually places his main base, as you can see here, or here on the mini-map, places his main base closer to my base. So it's a longer distance. I have to go through his main base to get to his natural, in a sense, which makes his main base fairly susceptible to drops and that kind of thing. So these missile turrets are just great that he has done. Now on his side, coming to attack me, this frontal area of my main base is susceptible to siege from the low ground, which we will likely be seeing that in the future, which is why I've placed down these sensor towers. As you can see on the main map, I can see his units moving in. Now the advantage for myself is that does allow me to place my army here on this kind of front porch area of the natural expansion, and I can defend my natural expansion and the entranceway to my main, but that does leave me still vulnerable to this low ground here. So depending on where I place my defensive units for the natural, I could place them even lower. I could place my defensive units here and basically block, defend both sides of this base. So my opponent looks like he's setting up in the middle of the map, which is excellent for him, gaining vision at the Zelnaga Tower. Now the Zelnaga Tower gains gives the a player quite a bit of vision. You can see this brightened area, just how far that Zelnaga Tower gives access. And these tanks, you can see that allows them to kind of maximize their efficiency, and from this position he can tell whether I've moved out to this gold expansion or not. So this is an excellent example of map control. On his side, he had a really good engagement back there, and now he's able to capitalize on that. Now we can see that he is researching an upgrade for ghosts, so should be seeing some nuke play from him quite possibly, or at a minimum just cloaked ghosts coming in. And here he has built this Ghost Academy off to the left to try to avoid any scans into the middle of the base. I wouldn't be able to see that. Now I'm pretty sure that I do not see that. I do not have vision to that at all. Yeah, I never saw that, so I have no idea that he has ghosts coming in. As you can see from the minimap, I have no idea that he has control essentially over the middle of the map with quite a few tanks. And we're going to go ahead and boost up that time. This game will take very long if we continue to play it at that faster speed. So faster times 4x, and we can see he's placed down that sensor tower. Now I will see that on my mini-map, so I will be able to see that he is set up down in the main level. And notice how he's keeping his units outside of the range of this sensor detection ring. That way I will not be able to see that his units are out there. So it looks like we're wow, he had a lot of tanks. Look at that. But if you look at the army supply tab, he's only slightly ahead of me in army supply, and I actually have more workers than him, that's just this kind of interesting. Now, whoa, look at that. So I built up a bunch of banshees. They came in. Now that could be why that worker supply is the difference there. So a bunch of these banshees doing a terrible amount of damage, trying to kill off the orbital command. So it looks like he had, and I'll just do a quick pause. I know it's dangerous to do a pause with this long of a game, but it looks like that he had maxed out his main base. He had his expansion here, which I destroyed with the banshees, and he was moving that main base to another location, out to here. Now he may have been moving it with the hopes of getting it to a gold expansion, but that is an interesting point income-wise, is that we were basically on 2 base, but when he ran out of minerals at his main, he needed to start thinking about expanding to a 3rd. So that's an interesting point about the game of StarCraft here, is that basically you need to be constantly thinking about where your next expansion is going to be. So you can see here I have a massive income advantage over my opponent, and so I am able to keep that production queue busy, unlike himself. And here I am building a 3rd expansion here. Now he's coming for a move-in to attack the base. We'll keep it on faster speed for these battles, which is pretty fun. So he's got a bunch of Vikings here, which is pretty good. Those Vikings will be able to take out the banshees, and I only just have a few Vikings. Now this missile turret, I'm earning its weight here, but with vision onto the high ground with this medevac, his tanks are able to do a significant amount of damage. Now he has quite a few tanks. This is 7 tanks. That's quite a bit. So that push that I did killed some stuff, but 7 tanks is just so much damage. He's going to be able to kill these buildings at the top. See, he's got that scan giving him visibility all the way into the base, and you can see with these tanks highlighted just how far their range goes. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So as we mentioned before, this is a weakness, having such a big kind of side porch, I guess, to the base. And you can see that I'm holed up back here, preventing him from moving up into the ramp, into the natural, but of course from this lower position, by using those scans, he's able to cause quite a bit of damage. Now each scan is about a sacrifice of about 200 minerals worth of mined time, meaning when you do a scan, you could have done a mule drop instead, and the amount of minerals mined by that mule is approximately 200 minerals. So I'm actually causing economic damage by forcing him to use those scans. Now he could bring in his air units here, which he will do here, but of course those air units are vulnerable to attack by these Vikings, which I try to take out that medevac very quickly. Now I did move that starport, which is a good thing to do. Your expensive buildings like starports that require gas are quite an investment. Now I tried to move in this tank. Now he can get range of this tank, but you know, so many tanks here, just absolutely ridiculous. One Viking here, and I started to build Vikings at some point. I've got 3 Vikings here, so they should be able to ward off that lone Viking here. But once again, looking at the supply tab, his workers were so damaged from that banshee raid earlier on in the game that just really hampered his ability to keep up the supply, the production count. You know, with that lower income, and these tanks are just going to be able to kill this tank almost instantly. Where's the scan? Oh, here. I don't know how he saw that. Oh, because he's got a Viking over here. Oh, you see that? See, so with all these tanks here, I really can't move up onto the high ground unless he runs out of scans or he runs out of air units. But because he doesn't have a Viking in the area, see there, he just uses a scan and pow, there goes that tank, which is actually a fairly good investment. Now he's bringing in a Viking and these Marines to try to ward off this banshee, which you know, the banshee by itself could take out all these tanks, but these Marines are going to cause some trouble. Now I have been building units on the side, but and you can see I've banked up 3,000 minerals. This is bronze level play in action, double the worker supply, and he hasn't attacked this expansion, but I haven't made use of it either, just focused so much on this battle down here. And really, that's a huge disadvantage. I really should be taking advantage of this, but I have so many minerals, it really doesn't matter. You can see that I've started to build barracks in the back of the base to try to make up for that. So I've got quite a supply advantage on him, but okay, there you go, there's the big move out. So his tanks move in, siege up, and really at this point, he doesn't have vision up onto the high ground though, and that's a real disadvantage for him. So these Vikings were just going to be able to rain down fire on these tanks, and once this tank sieged up and I came out with a vision, I had vision of his tanks, and his tanks could not see up here. They didn't have a scan to be able to see that, so I was able to clean that up, and now he is at a significant supply disadvantage and a significant worker disadvantage as well. So this does explain how I was able to recover from that massive amount of aggression. Now he has by now rebuilt those SCVs at his natural, so he's now mining minerals, not mining very much gas at this point, but after all of that attacking, he has regained the momentum, kept the momentum in his favor. I'm staying back on my 2 base even though I've got completely mined out refineries. Now I notice because of these refineries are mined out, I have no more gas, and it's going to take me a while to rebuild that. So keep an eye up on that production tab as we speed up the time again, and probably maybe need to speed up the time even a little bit faster than that. So he's coming out to establish this gold base and putting a force back in the middle of the base, as we mentioned before, establishing map control. Now with a 3rd base out here, I'm basically back onto a 2 base economy with 3,000 in baked up minerals. So you can see I am have a bunch of barracks. I have 5 barracks pumping out units, pumping out marauders as well, a couple of marauders, and a bunch of Vikings to try to establish air control, and just a couple of tanks, which isn't that much. Now somehow he did get vision of this this expansion, and attacking with all of those workers wasn't enough, and he's able to kill off that expansion, which is just excellent for him. So now I'm back to a 1 base economy, but I have no minerals back here, so I am down to a 0 base economy, which forces me to move out into the middle of the map and try to take back this main area. Now this is just amazing. The Vikings were landed, and those tanks are just so strong, sieging up those tanks and now laying siege to the gold expansion. I'm not sure if I'm able to kill this, so he moves that off, and we are back to kind of, the game is reset here. If we do just a quick pause, taking a look at that income tab, we basically are not mining anything. you know, if you remember just a brief moment ago in 4x speed, I had expanded out to this expansion, giving me an economy of 1 base because I had mined out my main, and as well I had mined out my natural expansion. You can see the workers are still here. That puts me down at 0 income, and he had income off of his natural, although you can see that he was trying to expand to a new place up over to this gold expansion. Was an excellent place to expand to, which is why he put his units here to establish that control. Now, once I realized that I had no income, it was, I mean, basically all in at that point to try to break out of this hold that he had. And pushing down into here, I was able to remove his hold on both of these gold expansions, as well as prevent him from mining from this gold expansion down here. So we'll turn on the speed again. So he's reestablished his extra command center down here in the lower mid portion, and I'm moving my main command center down here into the gold to try to regain that income. Now if we check at the army supply, we can see that our workers are very similar. He was able to kill off quite a few workers back at this expansion here, but so I am in a sense kind of double expanding, but I still have this command center back here with just one CP getting gas. But continuing to build up Marines and Marauders from those 5 barracks, trying to keep those busy. I have a couple of Vikings just kind of sitting. That's kind of interesting. And my opponent as well, double expanding out to here. So now we're still back to a 2 base economy. I do have the gold, so that is an advantage that I have over there. And starting to build these thors, and we can look at the supply tab, and I'm at almost double army supply, but our worker supply is very similar. Now, some of that is I had all of that money banked up. Remember, I had about 3,000 minerals banked up. So now he's going in for a move. Now, oh, this is too game moving too fast. He actually, you saw that very briefly, that mushroom cloud. I had a bunch of tanks, if you remember, sieged up here with a bunch of units, and he put down a nuke, and I could clearly see the red dot. And so I guess we could just back up and see that in action. Oh, there's the nuke coming down. So oh, we can even see the ghost. That's kind of cool. I'll go back again. I don't know how long it takes for a nuke to launch, but they're always fun to watch. Okay, so here's the nuclear launch detected. You can see the ghost there keeping range there. So I saw this, and there's really only one place for that nuke to be launched, and so I move up, leave everybody out of the way, and then here comes the nuke. Oh, that is just so cool to see. And my tanks sieging up, trying to siege up just in time. My units coming into the mid here. Now they're actually hidden behind this thing, and he's able to clean that up quite well. But I do have these 2 thors and a couple of Vikings here, so we'll see what happens with that. The Viking coming out, he's going to get killed. Oh no, he's not, just barely here. These thors being able to take out these injured Marines, and we should be able to walk over these tanks fairly quickly. So don't forget that tanks, although they do offer that area of effect, I mean, these tanks are actually hurting themselves by attacking units that are close by. So those tanks and those Marines able to clean up everything except for these 2 thors. This thor down to 54 hit points, and sending in some banshees. I had slowly been building those up yet again. Banshees are just so great for their harassing ability, so moving them back to get repaired. They had been quite damaged, but my opponent trying to get back into this game at both expansions, this one a planetary fortress to try to defend any kind of onslaught coming from there. And our supply count's very similar, although if you look at my opponent, he is building quite a few things all at once. But of course I have those 5 barracks and the double starport that's still there from that point earlier on in the game. A bunch of flock of banshees coming down to this lower right hand side, expecting to find something down here, and I do find something, a planetary fortress that of course cannot attack back. Continuing to build banshees, you see that they are rallied to each other and bringing this banshee force, ooh, super fast time, taking out, and not cloaking, although I don't think that really would have mattered because he did have the orbital command there. So these Marines plus the missile turrets being able to really clean up banshees, and that is one of their severe disadvantages, is that I mean, Marines can really clean up banshees, they can clean up battle cruisers. Marines are just very efficient overall. Triple expansions now, one up here in the upper right that of course is being not used whatsoever, and a ghost bringing in another nuke here. Now of course he can cancel those nukes, but instead going in for a massive engagement here, and wow, boy, in 4x speed that goes by really fast. So gonna take a look at this. He did have, well, it's lots of exploded parts here. So coming into this particular engagement, and let's back up again. So here he is, just one more time, using the ghost and the nuke ability to let's go back one more time, maybe here. Okay, so he's bringing in a ghost, and once again using that nuke ability to try to get my army to move into a position that's more advantageous for him. So I mean, at this point he could be moving up tanks, he could be moving up his units to try to get to this high ground, which would be an excellent idea. Now he's deciding to go ahead and let the nuke drop, which I don't know if you can. I think if you can't, I'm not sure. I don't use nukes very well, so I'm not sure that if you cancel a nuke, if it goes away, or whether you still have it and lose some money. I'm not sure how that works, but went ahead and decided to let it drop. And what we're seeing here is that he had, I'm going to go ahead and slow this down. Battles are so interesting, I think, because you can come into a battle and think you know what the outcome is going to be. So just give a quick pause right here. So I've got a good handful of Marines. About 24 plus 2, 26 Marines, but I have these Thors, 4 Thors, and I have like one SCV set on auto repair, and a pretty good set of Marauders. And on his side, he has a bunch of tanks, 5 tanks, 1 Thor, and a whole bunch of Marines. Although these Marines are at various levels of being damaged. So upgrade-wise, he's got 1 armor, 2 attack on his Marines. And I have 1 armor, 1 attack. So he has slightly more upgrades on his Marines, double attack and 1 range for his vehicles. And for myself, I have no upgrades whatsoever. So it's really going to come down to the particular army makeup. Now, don't forget that Marines have some trouble killing off Marauders because they have so many hit points. And these Thors have quite a few hit points themselves. You can see 400 hit points per Thor. And so with 4 Thors, if these tanks are able to siege up, then they should be able to do quite a bit of damage. Against these units. But if there is an encounter before they're sieged, then this group is going to be in a lot of trouble. And we'll just see that in action, especially this group. Now don't forget, this group is damaged, so if they stim, that's going to be a big disadvantage as well. And we see that stimming across the front of the line and stimming again a second time, and I did stim my units as well. So this is stim versus stim. The tanks haven't had very much time to shoot, and that has led to the demise of this group. So now we are back to low supply count on my opponent, although he does have quite a bit of income coming in. He has much more income than I do. This ghost being able to pick off the workers down here on the low ground, but these 4 Thors able to come into the main and cause quite a bit of trouble. So I think this is the point where things are just kind of getting cleaned up. Thors coming into this expansion here, and of course Andrew down to 14 supply, and that's pretty much GG at that point. BattleNet getting me connected and disconnected. My wireless connection down here in the basement was not that good. Another nuke coming in here, a defensive nuke, but that ghost being killed here. I'm not even sure why he showed up. I think his cloak may have ran out of energy. But Andrew putting up quite a fight here, and that fight is still not over. A bunch of Marines and a Marauder. He's checking expansions. Oh wait, no, those are my Marines. Never mind, my Marines, my Marauders, checking expansions, trying to make sure, trying to see where he is, and then discovering that final expansion in the lower right hand corner. GG, and you two for a very long game. Terran versus Terran. Like I said, I think a pretty epic game. Lots of battles, lots of nukes. I didn't cover, there was some ghost activity back here in the main. That's why these Marines are there. I think he had 2 ghosts at various times back here, and there was a nuke launched up here somewhere. Maybe it was over here or something like that. But yeah, he used nukes, which I have not seen hardly at all in the ladder, which is great and lots of fun, and that's why he is rank 1 and I am a lowly rank 20 something rather right now. So yeah, epic game. TvT is definitely fun. This was one of my first games played with no time limit, where I had to like try to win the game at minute 16 or something like that. So yeah, so hopefully cast hasn't gone too long, but yeah, really fun game. Lots of upgrades, lots of bases. This is StarCraft 2, I think. you know, in its finest. Although it would be nice if we could get through these games a little bit faster. So I won't be clocking in very many games in the 1v1 ladder if all of these games end up being this way. Playing a lot of Terrans in Bronze League too, so this could just be kind of foreshadowing of what is to come as I play more games for the rest of this week, trying to get as high as I can in my division before the end of the season. So, alright, GosuDad signing off, and we'll see you guys next time.